Well, hello and welcome. I'm Sue Britz,
And I'm Tina Lokkbakk. Welcome to Retired.
the podcast where we talk about what life is like when we put on new tread, new wheels that move us to our next adventure. Hey, Tina, I've got a joke for you. What do you call a zoo with only one dog?
Doggone it, I don't know.
That was a good answer. A Shih Tzu.
Oh!
Okay, while we're on that topic, what's the crappiest dog you can get?
The one that gambles?
Sausage dogs. They're the worst.
Oh! Keep going, Jibber.
My dog has no nose.
How does he smell?
Terrible. What do you get when you cross a dog and a calculator?
A smart pup?
That's not nice. It's actually a friend you can count on.
Oh!
Which brings us to the topic, dogs. Dogs in retirement, dogs. We both love dogs. We've talked about being dog and cat people before, but
we're a little bit more dog than we are.
Definitely, I'm only not a cat person. And
I tip over onto the dog side, yeah.
You tip over onto the dog side, yeah. All right, so I got some questions for you. Not a question.
Bring 'em on.
I just want to know, what did you learn from the dogs in your life? And how many dogs have you owned or had?
3. I got my first dog when I was about 27. And I'd waited my whole life. Where the red fern grows was me. I was that child, but my parents, no matter how much money I would bring in, wouldn't let me have one. So my first one was at 27. I didn't choose him. My former husband really wanted to have a German Shepherd Lab mix, and I was delighted that he was on board to get a dog. But he was absolutely everything I didn't want. In that, I wanted the dog that you see that's loyal to you, that, sits around your feet when you have a fire. And this was the most independent, aloof dog I had ever met in my life, and was truly a sad disappointment that I loved so completely. So that was my first dog experience. How about you?
Did you get the dog as a pup, and did you have
puppy?
Was the whole life cycle or what?
The whole life cycle. Got him at 6 weeks. Back then it was on that teetering point where you should wait till 8. And he was the runt. He was hiding from us. He didn't really care about us. And that pretty much was him. So get the dog that runs to you. Not the one who's like dying to get out of your arms when you pick it up.
Well, no kidding.
Yeah. So how about you?
So what did you learned from your dog that you should choose the dog that chooses you? Yes.
That relaxes in your arms. I tried after I got books. I got The Monks of New Ski, which is about these monks that were taking care of and raising German Shepherds. And I tried to follow their training rules because, of course, we're teachers and all we like to do is learn. So I tried to read as much as I could about how to train him. And they said, try the dominance thing. He was probably 3 or 4 months. He was a very large dog. He weighed 120.
Wow.
And he wasn't overweight.
You like big dogs. You like the big dogs.
I do. So I tried to flip him onto his back at like 5 months of age when I really started reading. And it was a 45-minute struggle. And I was so exhausted by the end and so defeated that he won. And so that's the story of, I called him Johann because he was half German. And yeah, he would escape. He would run. He wouldn't want to come back. Yeah, I liked him. I loved him, but he was not my dream dog by a long shot. Truth. Sorry. God bless you, Johann.
He was a big dog. I remember.
Yeah.
And I was always like, how do you pick up those loads? Oh, my word.
Yeah. Not a problem. So tell me about your first dog.
Okay, hold it. So let's go through the dogs. So you've mentioned the 1, 2, and now Gigi, right?
I had an interim dog and a few foster dogs. So the next dog was Molly, which was tragic. She was a puppy from the pound, and I got a phone call a week later that said her sister, and she was probably 3 months old, had just died of parvo. So to
Yeah.
expect it. And within 24 hours, sure enough. And that was one of the warning signs of the marriage because he didn't want to pay for it. He didn't want to save the dog. He didn't want to use our money on the dog. So I had to ask my parents for a loan to take care of the dog because I tried to inject the dog, save the dog, do it at home until I couldn't. And so finally, I put poor Molly into a veterinarian care. She made it through until she blew out her hip a week later or so. And then while that was healing after thousands of dollars in surgery, the other hip went out. And that's when I said, I can't do it. And the vet took her in and said, sign her off. I'll give her to some elderly lady and you'll never get to see her again, but we'll take care of it. So I said, great, because her life was going to be in a cart. And I
Oh,
thought for
gee.
my kids' sake, my sake, everyone's sake, we just wanted a dog. So then I went through these foster ones and I got Billy, the half Weimaraner, because I always wanted a Weimaraner. And he stayed with us for, oh, was it Billy? It wasn't Billy, but it started with a Buddy. Buddy. He was gorgeous. He was a black. He was half lab, but he looked like a Weimaraner, but black with these incredible eyes. And he tried to kill our chickens and cat twice over the weekend and break through the screen to get to them. So I realized that death was just something that was going to happen. So Buddy had to go back. He was great with people, but he would have killed my spirit. Then there was Dom. We saw him out in Sacramento parading around at PetSmart. I thought to myself, he is just like Johan. There is no difference.
Yeah.
And then I saw him again at our cute little hometown farmers market being paraded around. And in 1 week, he had been with a foster girl and she had done such wonders that I thought, oh my gosh, she's perfect. However, again, Sue, that wasn't the dog I would have ever picked. It was the compromise dog because you're told that everyone should get a lab. And then my former husband really wanted that kind of a dog, but not my dog. And I loved him. He was so much better, but he was a bolter. So he would always escape and get into things
Mm.
and disappear. And so that was stressful. And he would knock over my kids. I went to training. Kids didn't like him because he was so rambunctious and I couldn't get him trained enough. So it wasn't fun for them. So he became entirely my dog. And now we're at the best dog who I know is going to break my soul. Just even talking about it, I found my avatar, my soulmate dog, my perfect dog who is loyal, who is an omega. She listens. I only have to say no. She is never bolting and just my best friend. There we go.
Yeah, that's the dog that you want. What you've just described is all the reasons for not for really understanding the breed of the dog and its characteristics. It's the ones that
Mm.
come with that breed. They are very specific, and that they match your lifestyle, that they match the
You.
reality of every day rather than our idea or ideals of it or just the look of the dog because and
Yes.
and this is where we have choice. They are, our when we have children, you get what you get because that's what they're born with,
It's true. It's a
But when you're
commitment.
choosing this pet, this companion, this family member you're going to have,
Hmm.
it behooves you and them to really match your lifestyle, and especially I think every step along the way, it's important to do that, and as an older person, even more so in some ways, because you've got to, if you're out traveling and have to leave them, then you need to have a dog or a situation for that dog that allows you to do that. Either that or you've got to be responsible enough to say, right now I'm in between dogs and this is when I'm going to do those things. And, so you've got to really figure out that. And the other thing you mentioned was the financial cost. I mean,
Oh,
Our pets are pretty much like having another child. And so if you, I don't like thinking of my pet as my child. My pet is my pet, my companion, my family member, but it's not my child. However, the cost to maintain them well um, requires a commitment. And if you are sharing this with your family, you and your family have to agree on what that looks like, what that means. So when you're making health choices, healthcare choices, or death choices, then you need to really be on the same page about what that means, because that could create massive problems for your family, but
hmm,
also
very true.
being fair to the animal too. So that's important. So, I mean, you really got to know your breed, and you really got to be in agreement, especially if you're sharing this with within a family. You're not on your own. It's got to match your lifestyle. Yeah. So, my first dog was again, my family didn't allow for a dog in
Same.
the family, um, and that's I really wanted a dog because I dogs feel like family, whereas
Hmm.
cats are you're their staff. Um, but my first dog was Chacmol. It was a little Pekingese mix that when I was living in Mexico, it was
Oh,
a family at the beach had these dogs, and they had the puppies, and I'm like, I was on my newly married, and I wasn't working at the time. I was starting my English teaching English business, and so I was going to be at home, and I really I wanted a companion, and Chocmol was a great little dog. I tend towards the
oh,
littler dogs because I
uh-huh.
like being able to pick them up. I like to be able to take them
Yeah,
where you need to take them. I like to, and when you get older, if you like big dogs, that can be a difficult thing because it's
very
challenging to pick a
much.
dog up that
Hmm.
is a large dog, or like a greyhound we have with their legs that are
Yep.
so long and spindly, and they thrash around. I mean, you got to be. It's a physical thing. So I've always liked that, and I like the spirit of the little dogs too. Um, so that was my companion dog, my first dog, and I got it as a puppy. And when I moved back to the States, I gave it to one of my students, and he was just delighted. So
Oh,
that worked out really well.
oh.
My next one was Honey.
How did you decide? I know I met Honey, but hold on, back up. Chocmol. How did you decide to give your dog to a student?
Well, it was back then. It was too much of a thing to bring the dog to another country,
Oh,
and
so
and
true.
could I,
Right.
if I wanted to do that, I guess
Yes.
I could have done that. And I also knew that we had talked about dogs, and when you're teaching English as a second language, you talk about things kids are care about. So there's a
Yeah.
dog there. So
Mm-hmm.
this was going to
Perfect.
be a great mix, a great situation for them. So it
Yeah.
wasn't it wasn't a, it
Perfect.
wasn't a difficult decision to make. And then Honey was
Honey.
my Terry. This is the one that my daughter, as a little girl, she wanted a dog, and I said, when you are going to be responsible, you'll pick up the poop and you'll feed the dog, and you'll, all these things. And she went to a party, and they had puppies, they had dogs there, and she's like, "It's time, it's time. I really would like a dog. I can do it. I can do the
Oh,
things." And of
I
course,
hear her voice.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we got Honey at the shelter. We went there, the local shelter. We figured out. We saw her. She was so cute. She came up to the fence and licked her hand, and seemed so cute. We took her outside into the outdoor area you can walk around with and play with, and then we had to, okay, we'll go home. We'll talk about it, make a decision. We went back, and we chose her then. And I love the idea of getting a shelter dog too, because
Yeah.
um, otherwise, I mean, they could be euthanized for no
Hmm.
reason, no good reason other than that humans let their dogs get pregnant and have lots of babies. But Honey was a great dog. We had her. She was probably already, 2 or 3, and we had her for a long while. She would
So
protect.
how old was your daughter when you got
She
Honey?
she must have been, I would say, 6 maybe.
Okay,
And she did some of it, but really, yeah, I
I
I
do.
could have been better with that. And I would do it differently. But Honey was great. She was a little terrier mix. She would protect our property. She barked when people walked by the house, or and that's what I want. I want them people to know there's somebody in there.
Mm-hmm.
And but she didn't when people walked in, she stopped barking. She wasn't attacking them or anything. She was
Nope.
really about protecting the boundaries of our home, and I really liked that. My daughter really worked on trying to train her, and she really enjoyed that. So great dog. And when it came time to put her down, we probably should have put her down earlier,
It's
because
hard
she was
though.
incontinent and dragging her legs, and
Yeah.
the ex wanted it, couldn't do it. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay. I finally said it's time, and
Mm-hmm. Same here.
this is what is so important, and I love about our pets is they teach us and they teach our children about the life cycle, about life and
They
death,
do.
and
They do.
and that was another clear example of if you're not on the same page of what, when, and how to do things, it can be a real problem. And so I'm
Right.
waiting longer than I thought was respectful to the dog. So that was an important, thing
The
for
life cycle.
my daughter. Had never, thankfully, we didn't have family death and so forth that she had to deal with. But
Oh,
this
right.
taught her up close, personal. She was there, and it was beautiful, and it was appropriate, and it wasn't scary. It was sad, but it wasn't scary. And this is such a beautiful lesson for all of us, and to do that together was important. And
I
then
agree.
we got Elfie. Elfie
I
was
remember
my
Alfie.
Elfie was my in between. My dog that was my companion after I got divorced. I mean, we got her slightly before, but that was what was in my mind, and this was for
I was
me.
terrified of Alfie. I never got over my fear of Alfie.
But she was a Dachshund Chihuahua mix, but she never like barked and barked and barked in front of your face. She'd bark at the
No, but she
door.
nipped.
But it wasn't really. It was a tiny. It was
It's
a
terrifying.
okay, but it wasn't out of control. I've seen other dogs that are out of control. But anyhow,
And you did something. You worked with her after a while, though. You
well,
brought
yeah,
her to a better place. You
and
really did.
she was, again, she was older, and she
Hmm.
obviously had been through stuff. Worked for me. It was fine. I never had an issue, but there's lots of stories I could tell about that dog. But um,
Oh,
yeah, there's lots of stories. And again, going through the whole life cycle with her was appropriate and good.
and how old
Um,
was she? You said.
she was about 2 or 3 when I got her. Again, a
Okay.
shelter dog,
Hmm.
and through the end, so that was good. And then in between, I had other dogs um, that I had with partners at the time, uh, the greyhounds, and then a boxer. Beautiful dogs, beautiful dogs. Loved them
I like the
all.
boxer.
And from being a baby, although yeah, she was a big goof. I remember the boxer, my friend from childhood. She had a boxer, and that was one you had to make sure you kept your hands out of your pocket. That dog,
Oh,
yeah. But I loved her dog. It was wonderful. So I had great memories of boxers, and Lacey was a big goofy love ball. So yeah. Uh,
yeah.
and when you lose your partner goes off, it's hard. That was their dog, and
Yep.
so we got
You
the dog
lost.
together. But that is part of
Yeah.
what it is, and so you're learning a lot from all of that. And again, being on the same page about the dog. Currently, with the greyhound, I think it's appropriate to leave dogs sometimes and go off on your own adventures. Melinda probably would want to bring the dog all the time. Right now, we can't bring Mimi because she is
It's
she is
hard. It's too
she
hard.
well, we
Yeah.
can't I can't pick her anymore, and our back end is
Yeah.
failing, and so she
Yeah.
can't do it. It's too stressful for her and too much for us. And so we're at this place that you're
Hmm.
you're dealing with an older dog, and you've got to manage that. So we work it out that when we do leave, we've got a greyhound friend who does a really good job with taking care of her, and we feel really comfortable with that. And but you've got to work to make these things happen. It's tough.
You do.
We had when you're in a like, this is the sighthound community. We were babysitting a deer hound. I was telling you the other time, and
Hmm.
this is what you do. It's a great way to interact, and that's another lesson. It takes a village. So even if
I agree.
you're a person, you've got to find your community that can
Hmm.
support you, whether it's about a dog or about other things in your life. It's really these are the things that dogs
I
teach
agree.
us. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, the community. So right.
So I I went from being a small dog person to a greyhound's a pretty large dog. So I have enough love of dogs that works for me. But it also helps that my wife is totally a greyhound, a big dog person, and I wouldn't choose a large dog for myself just only. But greyhounds are so delightful that I could see more greyhounds in our life at some point.
I have something that has kind of been creeping up on me as I'm watching Gigi slow down. I'm on a second story, and it's a very tall second story.
Yep.
So the flight of stairs is longer than some. And it was interesting thinking about what happens. What do I do? What if she can't go up and down those stairs and
Yep.
I'm living here?
Yep.
And I'm a little bit concerned, I'll be honest. I figure I'll figure it out when that or if that happens. And I've been thinking a lot about getting stairs to get up into the car, into the Jeep. Thank God Maria has a Jeep because it's taller. The Mustang is harder because it's not easy to get into to get up into the seat.
Right.
It's interesting because I can't do stairs there. It's just an odd thing. But it does make you, think what's the next step? What will the next step be and how am I going to handle it? And what if she becomes incontinent but still has quality of life and I can't get her up?
With dogs, your dog, using stairs, it's hard to they say that you can't teach old dogs new tricks.
Hmm.
I think you
I
can.
disagree.
It depends on
Yes.
it depends on the breed and how your dog's always been with regard to learning new skills, but um, it is hard. Like this greyhounds. I think a lot of dogs. If you anticipate having this dog for life, maybe teach
Hmm.
them how to walk upstairs, into a car early, so that when they have to do that, then it's not such a make or break. Um, this our greyhound, she's her back end fails, especially as she goes over a threshold of the house, and she
Mm.
wants to race out. Part of her breed is she wants to
She's
run out
excited. Yep.
and run back in, and then just lay down and go to sleep. But so we have to slow and tell her, slow down, and make sure she's watching her steps as she walks out and as she walks in. And that's been a saving grace, because otherwise she'd hurt herself. She's got no regard for her own physicality. And so just it's a reminder to me to remember this for the next dog is, being able to be picked up, especially a large dog, they got to be taught how to do that. Because if they're struggling, how are you going to do that when you're older too, or when they're
Right.
older?
That's the right.
So teach them all these skills and keep practicing all these skills that you anticipate for when they get older. For them, not as much for ourselves, but more for them to be able to do that, so you can give them the proper care as they get older.
In conclusion, if dogs teach us about life, now that I'm getting older and my body is changing physically, it's changing not just by appearances, but it's changing by the way it feels, by what I can do and not do. And I've been looking at her this past year as we've gone now through the bigger steps of aging. It's the foreshadowing. Like I see these things happening to her and it's happening to me and
Right.
she's just that much more advanced and she is teaching me, as you were saying, pre-think about how you're going to do the stairs. Maybe do it before it's a problem. And you're right. And it's funny because we go on our walks and we come back up to these stairs and as she's struggling to get up, I feel my body saying, I don't do stairs like I used to either. Like my legs and body feel it. And she's just, again, the example of the next thing because she's a little bit more mature than I am at this point. So anyway, it's a beautiful thing what they teach us. They teach us patience because when she went through 5 weeks of very loose stools and having to get up all night long, and she's trying, and by God, that dog could hold it until we made it downstairs. It teaches you patience. It teaches you your limitations. It teaches you when you need help to get help for your own dog or for your own self. Like, they're just the greatest teachers of love and loyalty too. One thing I've learned is I just went to we'll talk about this at another time, Toastmasters. And I was there for 5 hours, and Maria was at home with Gigi. And she said it was really interesting watching her because she just went from window to window to window and would just sit there loyal, sticking her head into the window and looking and waiting. And it's the most painful, beautiful thing, you know? And when I come home, I'm so happy to see her too. Like, I think I may not jump up and down like she does, but I kiss her and I'm just as happy and grateful that she's still there. Each day is a gift. That's my conclusion.
Well, I don't know if I can beat that at all. Yeah. Dogs. They're our family.
Dogs. Yep.
Thanks for listening. Now let's pack up this week's episode in the trunk.
Ride shotgun and be a part of our adventure by clicking on the plus sign to follow our show. This will help our ratings and, more importantly, inspire us to keep creating fun and engaging content. We would love to hear from you in the comment sections or email us at retiredpodcastnewtread@gmail.com. Use the fast track lane by sharing episodes with friends, family, and anyone who would like to join us on a road trip through re-tirement.
Be sure to check the show notes for links and contact information. Retired is chauffeured by Sue Britz and Tina Lokkbakk. It is produced, directed, and edited by me, Sue Britz. Music and graphics are by me too. Buckle up and tune in next week so that you won't miss your chance to
join our retired road trip.
Why did the dachshund want to sit in the shade?
Oh, God. I don't know.
Because it's a hot dog.
Oh!
You know, I thought about getting a guard dog, but I realized I just bought a louder doorbell.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a bark in the background.
It was the perfect timing.